Hello and welcome to Catching Up with Carter here on Saddleback College Radio, 88.5 HD2. And today we have a special episode. We're doing an entire Formula One special. First, we listened to Solo Steppin' Creek Boy by Little Yachty. All the music today is curated by Giovanni Daniels. And today I'm joined by two special guests, Romulo Abanto and Mick Lindenberger. Romulo is the host of Gladiators of the Pitch, and Mick, he is an adamant Formula One fan and truly loves the CTVR program here on campus. So I'll give it to you guys. How you guys doing? We'll start with Romulo. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Thank you so much for having me here the very first time in Catching Up with Carter. And by the way, listen to the show if you love soccer or you want to know or learn how to play soccer.
Yes,
Something
Gladiators of the Pitch. Check it out.
Pitch.
Yes.
Yeah, that's good.
How about you, Mick?
I am doing fantastic. Thank you so much for having me, Carter.
No problem at all.
I've listened to your show, I think, once.
Yes, you have. Yes, you have.
And I've listened to Gladiators of the Pitch twice. So I am ready. I'm ready to be part of this radio broadcast experience.
That's great. I love it. I love it. Again, thank you so much for checking in. We've got an entire Formula One special here today. We're going to be talking immediately about the Bahrain Grand Prix that just happened this last weekend. And then, of course, we'll go back to the Japanese Grand Prix and talk about the season in general. So stay tuned for this Formula One special. We'll be back after a 1-minute break. Hello and welcome back to Saddleback College Radio 88.5 HD2. My name is Carter Kirchhevel. I'm the host of Catching Up with Carter here on Saddleback College Radio. And today we are having an entire Formula One special episode. I'm joined by Romulo Abanto and Mick Lindenberger here in the studio. And we're going to start off with the Bahrain Grand Prix. These guys have watched it. I've watched it. It was an amazing Grand Prix that just happened on Sunday. And it was really exciting, mainly for the McLarens right away. Right. Oscar Piastri, he got a win pretty easily. He had a win where he won by 15.4 seconds, a gap that slightly downplayed the entertaining spectacle that took place behind him. There was some fun stuff that went on. So I want to immediately just ask, what was your guys' thoughts about this Grand Prix weekend? Was it exciting for you guys? Who were you guys just mainly watching in this one? We'll start with Romulo.
So I was waiting for Mercedes.
Yep.
Honestly, I thought Russell was gonna go and win. And he was doing pretty good.
I was hoping so too.
And, but Piastri did amazing.
He did.
He from the beginning. Even I know we're gonna get at this point, but when the safety cars pull off, I said, okay, this is the chance. But he still did a really good job, Piastri. So I was hoping on my cheers was on George Russell.
Yeah. What about you, Mick?
So I'm going to be honest, I haven't watched the race yet. I did not watch it this weekend. But I was super excited to see Mercedes-Benz and how well they would be able to do this weekend. And then obviously the McLarens, they're kicking butt this whole season. I'm impressed. I did not know Piastri won, especially by 15 seconds. So color me impressed. That's
yes, he had a great weekend overall. He had pole position at the beginning of the week. He says it's great to have this result out here. It's been an incredible weekend to start off in qualifying yesterday and to finish off the job today in style was nice. I'm proud to have done it here in Bahrain as well. It's obviously a very important race for us as the owners there in Bahrain of McLaren. It says it's never been a track that has been kind to us, so it's nice to finally have that first win for the team here, he added. So pretty good for Oscar Piastri, had a great race. And you know what? I'm going to ask the question right now. Should McLaren focus on Oscar, or do they need to focus on both drivers overall, or should they I'm looking at it again because we talked about this before. Should they jump their focus over to Oscar rather than Lando? Because I know it's jumping early. We talked about it earlier, Mick. You said, we shouldn't talk about it right away. We should let it kind of flesh out. But right away, are you guys thinking we should focus on Oscar more?
You're jinxing it, man. Nobody's gonna say it.
I'm gonna say it because they need to focus on Oscar. They do. If they want to have a chance to have a driver's champion, they need to just focus on Oscar right now. Oscar's the leading driver.
So I agree and almost disagree a little bit. I think Oscar is being fantastic right now. I think he's putting points on the board like easily. But I think, almost from like a business standpoint, the fight is between Max Verstappen and Lando Norris. Yeah. And that's what everybody's here to see. Everybody's waiting for it. They want to see those two friends duke it out. And then Again, Oscar's doing amazing, but he's not necessarily as consistent. At least last season wasn't as consistent as Lando. So I'm hesitantly optimistic. I want to see a few more races. See if he keeps delivering P1, P2s, then yes, by all means. I'd say mid-season, it's going to be a very interesting conversation with Zach Brown and the rest of the McLaren team to see, all right, are we going to switch focus to see if Piastri keeps delivering the results he's clearly delivering?
Yeah, and I apologize earlier. I said that he was actually first. It's actually he's second right now, just behind his teammate Lando Norris by 3 points. So I see your thought. Lando Norris, he's still a great driver. I'm not going to say that he's not a great driver. Of course he is. Yeah. But jumping up a little bit, like this weekend, he just said he made too many mistakes. He admitted to being clueless about how to drive his McLaren on Saturday. He had started from 6th place. He had a recovery to get to 30, claimed a podium. But everyone's talking about, if Max Verstappen was in one of these McLarens, they're probably 30, 40 seconds ahead. I'm going to be very honest with you. But Norris, he ran wide while fighting Charles Leclerc at one stage and then went off the track to pass Lewis Hamilton at another, forcing him to hand the place back, but then ended up, he still got to 3rd place. But he said, too many mistakes with the overtakes. It was a messy race for me, and I'm disappointed not to bring home a 1-2 for McLaren because that would have been lovely at home. It's a tough one, but still a few positives, he said. And I understand your focus, right? Having both drivers, focusing on both of them is good in that stance, like right now, but at some point you got to make a decision. Romulo, do you have a thought on this?
Yeah, so I know it's a terrible strategy, but it wouldn't be fun to just let them
race. Let them race. This is what I was saying the whole time with Mick
I know
before.
It's a terrible strategy for the team, but...
Well, so McLaren historically, the team McLaren has let them race. They always say, we got 2 number ones, we don't pick favorites, we let them race. And historically, they've crashed into each other before in the past.
I know.
Yeah. I'm curious to see if Zach Brown and friends will pick one this season.
Okay, I want to say something before we move on McLaren.
Go ahead.
Last season, Landon was doing really good. Mm-hmm. This season, he's doing good. And something that I think he already showed is the consistency.
Consistency, yeah.
About the whole season. Like Mick said, let's see how Piastri do the next races.
You're right.
And like last race in Japan, I know we're going to talk about that later, but it was Piastri couldn't pass London in some part of the race.
Yeah.
So let him race. I know Piastri was doing a better time in Japan.
Yeah.
But he couldn't.
He couldn't pass. He wasn't allowed to pass. So we'll talk about that, getting up to it. But still, I get the thought. Lando is their driver. Like if you ask somebody about McLaren, they're gonna say Lando Norris is their driver, which makes total sense. Lando Norris, Max Verstappen, that's the whole thing. That's them fighting against each other was everything in Drive to Survive this last year. We saw that the whole time they were talking about these two. So we'll see what happens. At this moment, if I'm making a prediction, I think they're gonna switch focus to Oscar. If Oscar continues to have the performance that he's had, I know that he struggled in the first race of the year, but throughout the last few races, he's really shown his dominance. In Japan, we'll talk about it more, but he was basically saying, like, I have more pace than Lando. I can pass. And they're like, no, let Lando stay first. But he's like, I have more pace. I can pass him. So, we'll see what Zach Brown does, but I don't know. Zach has always been Lando's boy, I would say. So we'll see what Zach Brown decides. Now let's move over to Mercedes. We were talking about Mercedes. I love Mercedes. Romulo loves Mercedes. I don't know, Mick, do you love Mercedes?
I appreciate Mercedes.
Okay, you appreciate Mercedes. I like it. But George Russell had one of the best races. I'm telling you, this was the most exciting race for him. One of the best races, one of the most audacious races, he even said for himself. He had a 24-lap stint on soft tires to close out the contest while defending Lando Norris. Immediate reaction right away. What's your guys' thought on it? Like a 24-lap stint on softs, Mix? What's your thought on this right here?
Impossible. Lies. Filthy lies.
It happened.
I haven't seen the race. Filthy lies.
It's insane.
But that goes back to George Russell. He ran a one-stopper last season for, I forget the number, but something like 40 or 50 laps on hard tires. But he's not uncommon to do crazy long stints on single tires. But like you're saying, he's a fantastic racer. I actually kind of think he's underrated.
Oh, he's definitely
He was
underrated.
shadowed from Lewis Hamilton for the first 2 years.
Yeah.
Yep.
And now Mercedes has kind of been on the decline. So
Yeah.
he's coming back up though.
And Mercedes is up there now. They are a contender right now for the World's Drivers' Championship. They're second in the World's Drivers' Championship, just behind McLaren. Of course, those McLarens are so fast, you're probably not going to catch up. But at this point, Mercedes, it looks like they made the right move, getting rid of Lewis, bringing in Kimi. Obviously, it wasn't really them getting rid of Lewis, but they made the right pick of giving Kimi that second seat, right? He's done really well, but George as well, letting him take the reins rather than bringing in someone that's better than George, letting him truly show how good he is.
Okay.
It's been great.
I have a question for you guys.
Yeah.
Okay. I love Mercedes. I love George. And it might be just a thought, but why did George didn't win many races? Have he win a P1 in any race? George have won.
Has George won a race? I'm pretty sure he has won a race. He has won a race before.
honestly, I don't remember. But
I'd
I
have
think
to look it up, but I'm
maybe
pretty
last
sure he has
season?
won a race.
At least one. But
Maybe one.
I know he's good, but I think he's not gonna make it to be a championship.
Well, I think that's
Or is the
unfortunately
car.
Mercedes.
Yeah, he's
at the
achieved
moment.
3 race wins in his Formula One career, all while driving for Mercedes. His wins include the Austrian Grand Prix, Las Vegas last year, and as well as his maiden win in Brazil in 2022. So he's won 3 races before.
But yeah, I think right now, unfortunately, Mercedes is just
Mercedes.
not. But to Carter's point, they are much better than they were last season.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
I think they could be championship contenders this year.
They're in the championship contention.
McLaren's fast.
They're
But
really
I think
fast.
number 2 is Mercedes right now.
It is. And looking into the F1 driver standings, we talked about it earlier, with Oscar Piastri, Lando Norris. You got Lando in first with 77 points, Oscar with 74. Of course, we'll talk about Max Verstappen and Red Bull and how good they're doing, but 69 points for him. And George Russell with 63 points at the 4th
That's
spot.
impressive, yeah.
He's been super impressive. 63 points to start off the year. Kimi in 6th with 30 points. It's a lot of points for this rookie, but I have a question
know.
here. Can George pull off a win in the Drivers' Championship with his consistency? I know, or the McLaren's too fast. We've talked about how
So
fast the
that's-
McLarens are, but George Russell has been so consistent. He's been top 5 in every race. Oscar was not top 5 in his first race. He was the P12, I'm pretty sure, if I remember correctly. So can he pull off a championship? If he's this consistent, one of these drivers has a few DNFs, he could maybe be the Drivers' Championship champion.
I mean I love it. I love the hope. I love the dream.
I know where you're at.
But I was thinking the same thing with Lando and Max last season. I was like, if Max just DNFs one race, Lando's gonna win it.
I guess you're right.
So it's a tough bet.
It is a tough bet. Hey, but the betting odds might be good for that. Put like $10 down, maybe win like 1,000. I don't know. Maybe I don't know what betting odds are.
No, I don't think so.
You don't think it's gonna happen?
It's Max. I don't know how,
Yeah,
but Max is gonna get there. He's gonna fight with Landon.
Yeah,
That's my bet.
And that's the thing is I think Verstappen, despite being only 3rd in a Red Bull that's not peak performance, it's still Max Verstappen.
Still, yeah.
It is. It's still
He's
Max.
still going to be fighting. If Lando DNFs, if Piastri DNFs, Verstappen's going to be there to pick up.
Yeah.
the
That's true.
He's gonna be there.
You're definitely right. I just still think George at least can finish in the top 3, top 4
That's-
in
I
that
think he
area.
could. That's
Where
gonna
he's at,
happen.
he
Yeah.
definitely can finish there. And he's been so consistent, been so good this year. P2 in Bahrain, did well in Japan. He's been so good. I just love George Russell. Okay, I'm just gonna say it. But that's how it's been for George Russell, Mercedes, they've been doing very well. Of course, the McLarens are in 1st and 2nd at this moment. We'll talk about Verstappen in a second. But let's jump over to Ferrari. We're talking about Lewis Hamilton, talking about, his change over there. But Ferrari, are they finally figuring things out? Charles Leclerc and Lewis Hamilton, they finished 4th and 5th, respectively, in the red cars, although the team's brilliant strategy call, which saw it start its 2 drivers on tires offset to the rest in the top 10, was undone slightly when a safety car came out at a vital moment, nullifying the strategies out in front. Until then, Ferrari had looked well-paced to challenge for a spot on the podium. But Lewis, he had a quote on the car. He says, "It really does feel so alien," saying it's tough to drive. Like, it's not the same. He's been with Mercedes for so long, going to a new car. Everyone wants to drive for Ferrari. But, he's still saying it's tough to drive. He says, sometimes I think we all get stuck in our ways, very stuck, and I need to keep driving the way I've been driving and just make the car come to me. Like, make it basically figure out how I drive. So what's your thoughts immediately on how Ferrari has been doing? We'll start Romulo. What's your thoughts on Ferrari?
Ferrari, I think they're doing better than last year. They always have some troubles. I remember in this race in Bahrain, Charles said something about that it was impossible to brake with the car. I said, why is that happening in the middle of the race? How can a driver say that?
I cannot brake.
Sometimes the brakes fail.
Formula One
It's crazy.
Like how
We've seen a lot of brake issues this year. There's been a lot of drivers that have had that issue.
But I think they're doing good. I have a question. I know I always come with some question, but I think, what do you guys think? Charles is driving better than Hamilton? Is he a better driver right now at this point?
Right now at this point, Charles Leclerc is driving better in the Ferrari than Lewis. But does that mean that Lewis is not a better driver than Charles? I think Lewis overall is a better driver than Charles overall. But again, you can't judge. He's only had a few races in a Ferrari. He's barely driven a Ferrari. Right now, as he said, it's alien. It's hard. He says, so I'm adjusting myself to the car. Like, he's still adjusting himself. Mick, what's your thought?
Oh, Charles. I have been waiting for Leclerc to win a driver championship since like 2021. I thought he was going to beat Max. I thought it was over, and then Max won every single race. And I was like, oh, okay. So yeah, I think Charles is driving better than Hamilton at the moment. And I am curious about this quote from Sir Louis Hamilton. Sir, he's nice.
Sir Lewis Hamilton, yes.
Yeah, I almost feel like he's expecting the car, like you're saying, let the car come to me.
Like he's expecting the car to fix itself for him.
Yeah, and I feel like he might need to get back in game mode and be like, you know what? I'm a 7-time world champion driver. I'm going to drive the wheels off this car.
Yeah, I mean,
I think he needs to get back in the seat.
Yeah, he does. He definitely needs to get back into the driver's seat, right? In the sense that he needs to figure it out himself. I feel like right now Ferrari's not going to change enough for him to just like keep driving the same way.
And I think it's a slippery slope, right? Oh, change the suspension. Oh, change this, change that. And the more you change in the car, the more time you need to adapt to the car.
More problems that could come up.
I'm not a Formula One driver, but I feel like, if you keep demanding changes, you're not changing your driving style to fit the car better.
Right. You're totally right.
Maybe, I don't know. Again, I'm not a Formula One driver.
Knowledge speaking here.
From my experience,
from your experience driving. All right, let's jump over to the question though. Can Lewis compete for another championship with Ferrari, or is he just going to finish up his final years at Ferrari empty-handed?
So I was thinking this last year when, because he announced his move to Ferrari race 1 of last year.
Yes, that was so
That was crazy.
And so I've been hoping and praying, because I like Hamilton. I'm a fan. I'm a Hamilton fan. I'm hoping and praying he's not over the hill yet, but I feel like he's almost there.
I saw it last year with Mercedes. I felt like he was just going down.
He was over the hill with Mercedes, which is why he made the move to Ferrari. But I hope he's got one more season in him. I hope he's going to pull a Vettel and take one more championship, or at least get P2 and like bring it home. Whoever's and then he can fade off into the distance and race for Alpine.
I think this is
race for Alpine. Sorry, I'm just gonna go back to that. Go ahead, Romulo.
I think that we're gonna see the last dance of Hamilton next season, not this one.
Not this one.
No.
Okay.
But next one.
Do you think is he going to compete next year?
Yeah, next season.
You think he'll compete next year?
Last.
Like with the new regulations, maybe he will. We'll see what happens. It's crazy with Ferrari. I mean, we never know what's going to happen. Ferrari, we've known how sad Ferrari's been for so many years. A lot of people are saying it's just a curse to be a Ferrari fan at this moment. I'm sorry. But a lot of people are like, there was even memes that were going around all over TikTok and Instagram of people like saying, oh, be a Ferrari fan. It's like the devil trying to get you to sign like a contract. It's really funny. But no, it's been crazy with Ferrari. I do think, because I love Mercedes and because I love Lewis, I'm going to hope he can do for one more year. I really do think he can really compete, but he's going to do what you said, right? Maybe not compete for Alpine, but drive 1 or 2 more years for Ferrari really well, and then he's just going to be done. Like, he doesn't have enough left. We saw him in the sprint. He did so well in that sprint race just a few weeks ago. I mean, he got P1 there and then didn't do too well in the race, but still did really well right away in that sprint. So We'll see. I think he still can compete for at least another year,
Yep.
but it's all up for grabs. We really don't know what's going to happen. Let's jump over to the Red Bull guy. Let's jump over to Max. We've been talking about Verstappen. We've talked about him. Everybody's talking about him. Is this it for him in Red Bull? I mean, let's start off just with a question. Is this it for Max with Red Bull?
I don't think so.
No?
I think it's all rumors. I think Max is a Red Bull driver.
Okay.
Heart and soul. I think, people have been saying that for years. People are like, oh,
There was
Adrian
talk about
Newey
Mercedes
left.
even last
Right,
year.
yeah. I remember I remember reading something that he was going to move to Audi next year.
Yeah.
And I'm like, nobody's going to jump into basically a rookie team, even if it is a works team.
Yeah.
So no, I think Max is at Red Bull as long as Lewis was at Mercedes.
You're totally
Until he's got
right.
5 seasons of coming in P10.
P10.
And then he goes, you know what? Maybe I'll finish my career at Ferrari.
That'd be so funny. That'd be so funny. But no, although he's still just 8 points off of championship leader Lando Norris in the driver's standings, Verstappen has made no secret of his frustrations with his car's performance. He said, I think ultimately you can mask it a little through setup, and we were able to achieve that last weekend in Suzuka. But I think this race has exposed some pitfalls. Obviously, very clearly, that we need to get on top of very quickly. And I think we understand where the issues are. It's introducing the solutions that obviously take a little bit more time. So he's showing, Red Bull's been struggling. Like their car in general, a lot of people are saying, right, this is a midfield car. I mean, if we're going to be very honest, the Red Bull right now is a midfield car. We've seen Yuki Tsunoda. We've seen Liam Lawson drive the second vehicle and not able to do anything. We've seen Yuki. We'll talk about Yuki more. But Yuki, he finally got some points in Bahrain. But it's not been great. I mean, in my opinion, if Max was not driving that car and if it was like Lando, I'm telling you, Lando would be getting like P7s, P8s every race. And it would be Max up there with McLaren holding that first place trophy. And it would be 2021 Red Bull all over again right now. So I don't know. I don't think he's going to leave. But if he were to leave, where would he go? Do you guys have some predictions on this?
No, not right now. Because I don't think he's
You don't
going to
think he
leave.
is?
No, because Christian Horner, he put a lot of effort with Max.
He has put a lot of effort.
And when Ricardo was there,
Yep.
he even switched places. He put Max over Ricardo, and Ricardo was good at the time. And I think it's something that happens to all the teams. Like when I started watching Formula One, what Mercedes was on top, Hamilton destroying every single race.
Yep.
And then Red Bull comes, and now it's McLaren.
Yeah,
So
it's
something
new teams. I just still think like he's one of those guys that you just never know, right? Like I feel like obviously he's been with Red Bull forever, but it was the same. I almost look back at like basketball and I'm thinking about Luka Doncic going from the Mavericks to the Lakers, and I'm like, there's no before that trade, I thought that was fake. So I just can't trust anything anymore. Like I just don't know. Max could leave, and it could be the craziest change ever. And, Mercedes, both seats are unconfirmed. The Alpine second seat is unconfirmed. It's not going to happen. But Cadillac, both seats are unconfirmed. You never know what's going to happen. He could totally make a change and absolutely rock the F1 world. Like
So, but see, that's the thing is like that you have to convince yourself like, oh, Max would change because it's so alien, it's so abstract for him to actually change.
Yeah.
Like you can't see him in anything but a Red Bull. So like if anything, maybe Cadillac, but again, nobody's going to jump in the first year.
But I'm saying, okay, again, his contract's till 2028.
Yeah.
Right now.
He's
2028.
2028.
But that's what I'm saying.
Sure.
2028, he could jump to like a Cadillac team after a few years of development.
Yeah, but
In the new regulations.
Maybe.
But so many things can happen in the next couple of years.
Sure,
he can win again.
Yeah, you never know. If he
Yeah.
wins again with Red Bull, which if Red Bull really makes some improvements.
Well, that's my secret. Or that's my thought is that Red Bull hasn't improved their car since 2023.
No,
they won
they've left
every
it the
single
same
race,
thing.
and they said we're good. This is it. And they've been focusing on the 2026 regulations for 3 years now.
So you think they're just going to dominate in 2026?
Yeah,
they
I'm
could
pretty
come
sure.
out of the
You are
gate
so right. I didn't even
with
think
a
about
rocket
that.
engine attached to it and be like, hey, this is the regulations. And we're like, what?
No, that would be crazy. I mean, it's definitely possible. Definitely possible. I'm just really... I love trade rumors in general. Obviously, this isn't trading,
Right.
but I just love like rumors of people moving over in different places. And Max is one of those guys that'd be so crazy if he moved. I definitely think it's not going to be for the 2026 season. I think it could be 2028, 2029, around there that we finally get some thoughts after a few years of regulation changes. And again, if Red Bull crushes the regulations for 2026, no reason for him to switch, right? So there's no point. But yeah, I mean, it's all dependent on Max, and I feel like Max is one of those guys like with Jos Verstappen. We just don't know.
Like they won the last season. Max is the actual champion.
He was.
And if they lost this season, it will be just 1 year. Like Mick said, they're focusing the next season,
On
the
2026.
So just 1 year, they can let it go.
We'll see. Yeah, 1 year they could let it go. It's just tough, right? Because they've been so dominant, and seeing them fall so far right now, they've just not been good. Like in drivers' championship, they're in third, which is like something. Like I was talking with a friend of mine who barely watches, and he's like, "Oh yeah, Max Verstappen's in first, right?" I'm like, "No, it's the
Not
McLarens,"
today.
and he's like, "That's insane because I thought Max always wins because that's what he's known for, like always winning, right?"
But back in the day, Lewis Hamilton always
was the same.
won.
Lewis
It was the
always
same
wins.
feeling. You wouldn't even watch him. He'd be like, he's making the podium every single time. What is everybody else doing?
That's totally true. It was the same. I remember I even taped on like a sticker on top of Max Verstappen at one point on my TV. Like when he was in
You're like,
first.
I don't even care.
Like, oh,
who's
I'm watching for
P1.
second.
Yeah,
It's just, we know he's
exactly.
P1, right? All right, let's jump over to Japan. Let's jump over to the Japanese Grand Prix. Let's talk about some race highlights because this is, of course, we're going to talk about Max Verstappen right away. Again, he got a win. He got a win in this race, and he clinched pole with a time of 126.983, and he nearly edged out Norris by 0.012 seconds. Absolutely crazy qualifying. So close for every single driver. Verstappen, he led the majority of the race and only briefly he relinquished the lead during pit stops. There was a point where Kimi Antonelli was actually the race leader for, I think it was 10 or 11 laps. So he's the youngest race leader ever. It was really funny. Max Verstappen, he got the win. Second was Lando Norris. It was a 2-3 for McLaren. Third was Oscar Piastri. And George Russell was in fifth, right behind Charles Leclerc, who was in fourth. So I want to get your initial reactions immediately of the Japanese Grand Prix. I know that was, what is it now, a week ago around from the time we're recording this? So maybe 2 weeks.
10 days.
Yeah, 10 days now. So let's go right away. Mick, what's your thoughts immediately about the Japanese Grand Prix?
I was honestly surprised that Max Verstappen won.
Definitely.
During qualifying, he nailed a crazy qualifying lap. Like, dang, amazing, great, put it on pole position. But then he kept the lead, over a second plus lead.
And he kept the DRS zone
for
out
50 laps,
for
for
Lando,
54
too.
laps. I mean, I do remember I can think of the cool down room, all three of them were like Max, Lando, and Oscar were all like, yeah, every lap was a push lap for every 54 laps. And it showed. But, Max stayed on top with a Red Bull. So I was shocked. I was shocked that he managed to keep it in front of Lando and Oscar. But that being said, Lando and Oscar stayed right behind him. And then honestly, I was really impressed with George Russell and Kimi Antonelli.
Yeah. I was very surprised. And
yeah.
they did so well in this race. Fifth place, and then it was also sixth place, respectively, for Antonelli. I mean, this rookie, man.
That was when I first started going like, oh, Mercedes are competitors.
That man's 18.
So much.
Little
Kimi is
He's like
going
12,
to school.
man.
He's going to high school, and he's going and racing on the weekends.
That's crazy.
Guy is insane.
Yeah.
What was your thoughts
look, he's
immediately,
12.
Romulo, on this? He does look 12.
I was like Mick said, I was really impressed that Marx came out with a victory, because that car that he has is
horrible. It's
horrible. Like,
It's so
and
bad.
with the McLarens, you can see the difference.
You can.
And say how he could manage to hold them behind him the whole race.
Again, that shows how good Max is. Like, number one.
That's why I was saying before, even with this car, he can win the championship because he's
You're
a
right.
beast.
He is a beast.
He's a beast.
But that's why I'm saying, I'm sorry, I'm jumping back to this. He could leave and then dominate with someone else because he can bring any car up there. He brought a midfield car right now, and he's winning races. And he's third in the Drivers' Championship. He could leave and still dominate. It doesn't matter. He's that good of a driver.
True.
So many drivers did the same thing, thinking, "Oh, if I go to this team or to another team, I'm gonna destroy."
You're right.
It never happened like that exactly.
I mean, right
Maybe
now that's
a
happening
couple
with
of
Carlos
races.
Sainz, and that's happening with Carlos right
Carlos
now
is-
because he's been struggling with Williams. He did okay in Bahrain, but just has been struggling elsewhere in that. But let's jump over, of course, to Yuki Tsunoda because Yuki, he was voted driver of the day. He basically finished. I mean, that's obviously he moved up a few places, but it was a P12 for him in the race. So
He passed Liam Lawson.
He-
And that was his
Hey,
only bar.
that was the
and
only
he
bar he
did
needed.
it.
He passed Liam, and then, of course, that's just how it's been. But let's go into the highlight of the race real quick. Craziest moment was really the only highlight, and that was in the pit lane. It was Lando Norris and Max Verstappen. Max was out first, and Lando, he decides to go right next to him. And they basically like almost collide. Lando becomes, and it was Mick who said this, he's the most expensive lawnmower ever made. And he goes on the grass and then comes onto the track behind. They both argue. They're like, Max is like, yeah, it's just going next to me. Like, I'm not going to let him in. And then Lando is like, this guy didn't let me in. So, I mean, of course Max was already there. Like, there was no point of him moving. But Lando, he tried to force himself in. I felt like that was because of how much, as you said, push laps. It was 54 push laps. He's like, this is my only chance. Right? I feel like that was Lando's thing. He's like, this is my only chance to maybe get a penalty, something that would be on Verstappen that could get him into contention.
Just to spook him. Because
Yeah.
if Verstappen would have moved over and let him in, he would have taken the lead.
He would have taken the lead.
So he just wanted to scare Max whatever he could.
I don't know how you're going to scare Max, though.
No,
That's the thing.
yeah.
He figured out the hard way, like, oh, this guy doesn't.
He's the
this guy
one who
doesn't
scared the other ones.
Yeah, and then as well, I just want to give a Verstappen quote, another one. It says, it was tough just pushing very hard, especially on the last set. The two McLarens were pushing me very hard, and it was a lot of fun out there. Not easy, of course, to manage the tires, but I'm incredibly happy. It started off quite tough this weekend, but we didn't give up. We kept improving the car, and today it was in its best form. Of course, starting on pole really made it possible to win this race. And that's the last part that I wanted to go into. If Max starts on pole, he can win. That's the biggest thing. If he's in those 1, 2, 3 area, he can win the race. But again, in Bahrain, you cannot be in 7th after qualifying. He cannot go from 7th
No, with
up to
this
first.
car.
It's
No.
not going to happen with this car.
No, with
Last
this
year he was
car.
able to during one of the craziest races. Forget the actual race where it was, but I think it wasn't P17 to like P1.
Yeah,
Something
I-
crazy like
Crazy
that,
race.
yeah.
But
He's
it's
like, I'll just
wild.
pass all of them.
Just wild. But again, with this car, he can't do it.
No.
And that's the thing. He needs to get pole in these races if he wants to beat those McLarens.
With that being said, he does, other than Hamilton, doesn't he have like the most pole positions on any
Yeah.
driver?
Yes, he
So
does.
he can do that.
He can do it. He can do it.
do
He
it.
can do it, but it's tough because of how fast those McLarens are, and because it's in the end of the regulations, we're so close. Everybody
True,
is so
true.
close. So there's been, I mean, again, Pierre Gasly at Bahrain was qualified like P5 or P6. I forget exactly, but he even qualified up at the top because these cars are so close to each other. I mean, just based off time, of course, except for Liam Lawson and Lance Stroll in the back, but everybody else is all close together. So it's really
Somebody's
exciting
gotta
to
wave
see.
the green flag.
Hey,
It
so-
might as well be Lance.
It might as well be. But no, it's been wild to see just how good Max can be. But it's just this car that is just so tough to watch. It's like I remember I even saw a meme of it, another meme. It was a Fast and Furious clip, and it was like of this like race car, and he's like, I can easily beat against the McLarens, and then it's Max in this like just trash vehicle, but it's got like just Max driving it, and he just is beating him the whole way down. So if Max can get pole, he can win races, but that's the key for Red Bull, in my opinion. They have to get pole, and they have to let Max push the car. That's the biggest thing. Now let's move over to Yuki again. We talked a little bit. Got driver of the day. It was his first race, and he qualified 14th. Ended up in 12th during the race. And right now, it remains uncertain where he's gonna be. He did well over in Bahrain. Let me check again. I'm gonna look at where the race finishes were.
I was gonna say
in
that was my
race.
first question.
That was your
Nine.
first question.
Nine.
Did Yuki race for
Yes,
Red Bull?
Yuki did.
Yeah.
Yuki,
He
yep.
All right, he's still there. All right.
Yes,
One
he
more
is
race.
still there.
One more race.
So
He
he
got
did
4
get
points. He got 9th place.
9th place. Thank you
Okay.
so much for
Yes.
giving me that information. But yeah, he got 9th place in Bahrain, got 12th
That's
in
improved.
Japan. It's improvement. And it's definitely improvement from where Liam Lawson has been. But I want to ask you guys a question. Will Yuki continue to improve, or is this second Red Bull seat going to continue to be cursed? Because this second Red Bull seat has been cursed for so long. Mick, I want to get your thought right away.
Okay. So I think Yuki is going to improve. I think Yuki is going to improve. I think he's going to be personally, I think he's one of the best drivers for the second Red Bull seat.
I agree.
That being said, I don't know if the Red Bull can do much better than P9.
You're right.
He might be pulling P7, P6
At
the end of the season, and it's like, and with Max, he could pull a P1, and so P1 versus a P7, P8, like it looks real bad, but that might be the best that a Red Bull can do.
Yeah, because the history of the second seat's just not good. I mean, if we look at this second seat, Mark Webber, he was solid, but Vettel was favored during that. Then Daniel Ricciardo, Ricardo. I said Ricardo, something like that. But he beat Vettel, but left when Verstappen became team priority. Look at the next one. You got Kvyat, who was demoted mid-2016. Pierre Gasly, he struggled badly. Now he's, over at the Alpine doing all right. Alex Albon as well. He replaced Gasly. He was dropped after a poor 2020 season. Sergio Perez did pretty good, but then he was inconsistent, was replaced after 2025. Liam Lawson started the season, did horrible. They put Yuki in. It just feels like the second seat is just, we're churning out drivers. Like, we don't know what's going on here. Like, again, I love Tsunoda. I hope that he does well. I hope that there isn't a problem. But at this point, that second Red Bull seat could be anybody's. And I just don't know if it's going to be Yuki again. Do you guys think it's going to be Yuki next year?
Yeah, I think so.
You think 2026 it'll be Yuki in that second seat?
I hope it is. I hope it's Yuki. I hope he's... that's the thing. I think Christian Horner needs to pick a driver and let him race.
Yeah.
Because the last person he did that with was Sergio. And Sergio's first 2 years were fantastic.
Yeah, he was great. And then, of course, after that, it is
what it is.
It's
some
the car.
drivers just start.
It's the car.
It's the car.
It's not
and
the
the
driver.
car has gotten worse, and so Yuki is pushing the car to its limit as well. And of course, as you said, he is the perfect driver for that second seat, in my opinion, because Max pushes so hard, Yuki pushes so hard. They both are really aggressive drivers, and you need that with this car. I mean, you can't have anything else but being an aggressive driver if you want to be successful as that Red Bull second seat or even the first seat at this moment. So do you guys think, let's ask the question as well, is Red Bull in contention? Like, does Red Bull have a chance this year to compete for the constructors? We talked about Mercedes, we talked about McLaren. Can they compete, or are they just stuck in this P9, P7 hell?
Yeah, I think they're stuck in there. They're not gonna be competing for the championship, constructor championship. I think Yuki is really good, and he's like you guys said, he's the perfect driver for the second car. Chris, he need a driver like Yuki, somebody who he can trust, and somebody who's not gonna try to step on or get closer to Max.
To Max.
Like the first year with Sergio, they've been first, second place, third, and third place almost the whole season. That was great. Like Red Bull is there, nobody's gonna fight him. And I think if they fix the cars for the next season, they're gonna be like that with Yuki. Yuki's great. It's just he needs a better car.
Yeah, and I think Yuki has the motivation too.
Yeah.
Yuki's been sitting in.
Was it 5
Everybody
years?
assumed. Yeah, the racing Red Bulls. He assumed he was never going to get out of that team. Same thing with Pierre Gasly. Pretty much anybody in that team is like, we're never getting a Red Bull. So
But
now that Yuki finally has a chance, I think he's hungry.
He's the most experienced
that's the
second
word.
seat guy.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
I think that's the word. He's hungry because when Gasly was in Red Bull, I don't know. I felt that he was like scared or he wasn't ready for the position. And even that he thought he wasn't. But Yuki, he's hungry for.
He wants to prove himself.
Oh,
Right.
100%. I mean, he's been a Racing Bull driver for 5 years. Like at this point, I mean, he's been so, in my opinion, neglected. So I'm excited that he's finally getting the seat. We've only seen 2 races, so this totally. I mean, watch him next race. He get like a P4, and we're like, oh yeah, Yuki. But
of course,
we just
that's where he belongs.
Of course, that's exactly. But again, if he goes down and he's like a P16, P17, we're like, what's going on here, right? So it's all dependent on how he does for the rest of the season, if he's going to stay or not. That's how I see it. It's how it's going to go. You know what? Let's have some fun now. We're going to have some fun debates here at the end of the show. We're almost done here on Catching Up with Carter. We're going to start off with the first question that you all are going to answer. I'm going to answer as well. Who's winning the Drivers' Championship this year? We'll start with Romulo. Go for it. Who's winning? Make your pick. It could be someone random.
Okay.
You never know.
Just because I want to see it, and I think he has it, is Lando Norris.
Lando Norris. Okay, Drivers'
Okay.
Championship.
Okay.
What about
Carlos
you, Nick?
Sykes. Carlos Sykes is going to make a wild comeback,
Okay.
get P1 in the Drivers' Championship, and put Williams back on the map. I'm excited. I'm excited to see the reign of Carlos.
Nick, what's your pick, please?
It can't be Carlos? Come on,
No,
man.
it cannot be Carlos. Carlos is not winning.
Can it be Fernando?
No. He didn't even finish like 2 races. Okay.
Oh, he
Albon.
doesn't need that.
Albon.
But see, that's going to be the big upset. Albon's going to get like P3 and
Okay,
be so
okay.
jealous.
Tell me, who do you think is going to win?
I think, like, realistically,
Realistically.
I think Oscar Piastri might have the best chance at the moment.
Okay.
I think Lando's up there. Max, you never
can
bet
count
on
him out.
Max. Max is the house. He always wins. But I honestly think Piastri's got a solid chance. And I think legitimate rogue answer, I would love to see Kimi Antonelli, rookie season champion.
He would be so fun to see win. He's just not going to because they're focusing on George.
True, but I don't. But that's the thing. Mercedes is almost there. They're competitive. I don't know, man. If Kimi just has some fantastic races, George pops a tire or two. Like
Again, if they just DNF a few times, you never know. Okay,
that's what I mean.
My
rogue,
pick,
but possible.
okay, my rogue pick is gonna be George Russell. I
right,
truly think it's a possibility. I know that it's like, okay, it's gonna be one of the McLarens or Max. I truly think it could be George, and I'm just gonna say it. I think it could be George. It's just how it's gonna be. That's just gonna be my take. Okay, who's winning the constructors championship?
It's gonna be.
You never know. McLaren. Okay, you know what? I'm gonna say McLaren. You guys in the consensus is McLaren.
Williams? Well, yeah.
Okay, again,
yeah.
not Williams.
Probably McLaren.
Okay, well, jokes aside, Albon, he has 18 points.
Yeah, Albon's
He's not
rocking.
okay, he's not
it
gonna
this-
win the championship.
but
he's got more
Albon
points.
has
It's
been
impressive
rocking.
for Williams.
He has been rocking.
Yeah.
He got
They
more
got
points than last
18
year.
points. They have more. Last
More
year
points
they
than
made
the last
10.
like 5 seasons combined.
That's impressive.
No,
Yeah.
it is very impressive for Albon. He had a tough race in Bahrain, but he's been doing well other than that. So Albon has been doing great. So you know what? Let's jump to the question about drivers. If you had to start a team today, which 2 drivers would you pick? We'll start with Mick first. Mick gets to...
Carlos Sykes and Fernando Alonso.
Fernando is not a rookie anymore. Okay,
That
I'm
doesn't
sorry.
matter. I just want to hang out with them. They look like nice people.
Okay, go ahead.
Do you
Romulo.
want rookies?
No. It's just 2 drivers that you think you would start the team with. Like, start a team with right now.
Can I bring back Ricardo?
Yeah, you could.
Yeah, of course
You know what?
can.
Of course.
He's cheap now.
He is cheap. He's very cheap. Okay, Ricardo and
Hamilton.
Hamilton. Okay, we got...
Can't afford Hamilton.
You can't
Sorry,
afford
man.
Hamilton. All right, my 2, I'm going to take Piastri and Kimi.
Okay.
Piastri and Kimi, because I feel like Piastri can be the number 1, Kimi can be the number 2 to Piastri. Put them both in McLarens, they're winning the Drivers' Championship.
Yeah.
Drivers'
and you've
Championship,
got
Oscar.
10
and you get-
years
yeah.
of drivers. Yeah.
Easily. All right, let's go into one last question, and it's going to be, is Lando Norris overrated or underrated?
That's tough, actually. To be honest, at first I'd be like, he's like last season, underrated for sure.
Is
But
he overrated this season? Is he
that's the
overrated or
thing.
underrated?
He's got so much hype this season that I'm like, oh man, you might be
But-
a little overrated.
That's
But he's in first place right now.
But
True,
again,
Okay, but
if he was if Max was driving this car, he'd have over
But
100
he's
points.
not. The one he's driving is
True. Yeah, I do think Lando Norris is probably the 2nd or 3rd fastest driver on the circuit right now.
Yeah. No,
For
he
sure.
definitely is. I
So-
just feel like he's overrated because everyone says he's the number 1. Like, people are saying he's better than Max. He's better than Max. He's better
no.
than Max.
Okay, that's.
People are saying that. That's what people are saying.
I think he's not overrated or underrated.
He's well rated.
Right now.
I'm gonna go with Mick's. I'm gonna say slightly overrated. I'm not saying he's super overrated. I just think he's slightly overrated just because of the hype that I've seen online. And they're like, don't hate on Lando Norris. It's like, okay, again, I'm not hating on him. I just think Max would do better in the McLaren. That's just what I'm
Like,
thinking.
Again, Lando Norris definitely in the top 3 drivers on the circuit
Oh,
right now.
definitely. He definitely
But
is.
he is like a god to some people. And I'm like, hold on, guys.
Okay,
He's
no,
not that
no,
good.
no.
He's not that good. Alrighty. Thank you so much again for checking in here on Catching Up with Carter, Romulo Abanto, and Mick Lindenberger. So I'm going to let Romulo, you're going to start off. You have some final words for people here on Catching Up with Carter?
Watch the races.
Watch the
Saturday,
races.
Sunday, wherever the time it is here in LA. Watch the races. They're pretty fun to watch. And thank you, Carter, for having me here.
No problem.
Don't forget about the Gladiators of the Beach.
What time is that? What time is that for the
Tuesday, 9:30 or 9:30 or 10 a.m.
Perfect.
Around there.
Perfect. Around there. And Mick, do you have some final words for the listeners?
Sign up for classes at Saddleback. They're cheap and they teach everything, and you can make a live broadcast radio show.
Just
It's
like
fun.
this.
Just
It's
like
been
this.
so great. Shout out Saddleback. Shout out Saddleback CTVR. Thank you so much for checking in. We have 3 more songs for you guys. In Your Eyes by Snow Aldeguera, Outro Atisur by Bad Bunny, and Luther by Kendrick Lamar. Make sure to check in every single week from 4 to 5 p.m. here on Saddleback College Radio 88.5 HD2 for all of your sports recap.